It's been a bad week for Alberta Premier Jason Kenney. First, he apologized for flouting COVID rules at a dinner on the Sky Palace balcony. New polling shows his approval rating at a new low, and now the Keystone XL Pipeline expansion, which he invested in, is officially dead. It was first proposed in 2008. The 1,900-kilometre pipeline would have carried crude from Alberta to Nebraska and then tied in with an existing pipeline carrying crude to the U.S. Gulf Coast. Just last year, Kenney announced a $1.5 billion investment in the project and $6 billion in loan guarantees. President Biden pulled the permits for the project, and yesterday, TC Energy canceled it. Global's Tom Vernon is with me from Edmonton. Tom, before we get to Keystone, I want to ask you about a report in an Alberta online publication that Premier Kenney and others in his cabinet broke COVID-19 rules by having multiple dinners indoors. Kenney was asked about that today. What did he say?
Well, Donna, a digital media outlet quotes unnamed sources inside the UCP government that accused the Premier of hosting these dinners at restaurants as well as at a private residence while the restrictions were in place, not allowing this to happen. Now, the Premier was quick to deny these allegations, and they sent a cease and desist letter to the outlet.
This is a complete fabrication, and that's why our legal counsel has written to that website demanding a full and immediate retraction and apology.
Now, the Premier, or Global News, has not verified these allegations. Now, the Premier did add that he has had meals out at restaurants during the pandemic. While the rules did allow to show support for the industry, he did so either on his own or with one of his designated close contacts.
Okay, and Tom, back to Keystone now. What happens to the taxpayer money that Kenney invested in, and what are the possible political consequences?
Yeah, Donna, as of right now, Alberta taxpayers are on the hook for about $1.3 billion. That's according to the Premier. And the government and TC Energy are looking for ways to recoup some of that cost from the Biden administration. Now, the Premier says Alberta has a case to make under the free trade agreement between the two countries, and we'll learn more about that towards the end of July. Now, this comes as an Angus Reid poll shows the Premier has the lowest support for all premiers in the country at 31%. And if an election were held today, the opposition NDP would win a majority government. And to the right of the Premier, the Wild Rose Conservative Party would have 20% support. Donna?
All right, Tom Vernon in Edmonton. Thanks.